pas. On va alterner. On a fait le pas salsa, le pas rumba et le pas mambo. On va alterner les trois.
Every year around the 8th of June, AMCO, the African Marine Mammal Conservation Organization, holds an event called Street Wheel in the coastal town of Kribi in Cameroon. The aim of Street Wheel is to raise awareness about what we have in our oceans and the need to conserve marine wildlife, as well as their habitat, the ocean. Street Wheel does this by using art and science, and that is what is special about the event. The month of June is chosen because this is when World Ocean Day falls. Conserving the ocean is also safeguarding the livelihoods of local communities.
We want also to celebrate the World Ocean Day, and it's also the occasion to bring together major stakeholders, including the government, the private sector, the civil society organization, and also even local community, including fishermen, to come together so we can discuss and think about solutions for our ocean.
Street Wheel 2023, the third one since the inception of the event, opened at Ngoye Beach with a strong emphasis on the artistic component, designed to engage young people and the public through fun and games.
Very few people were even aware that we have marine wildlife in Cameroon. I remember when we were posting photos of whales, dolphins on our social media platform, people were saying that it's not in Cameroon, that it's in South Africa. And it made us realize how much people are ignorant about what is going on in our waters.
Street Wheel 2023 brought together stakeholders and participants from 17 countries. There were also government representatives, world-class experts, and personalities of high social standing. Street Wheel is about work and play. The second day of Street Wheel was about work. It was marked by scientific workshops where various scientists and civil society organizations presented papers on the work they were doing. Some of the papers shared ideas about what was happening or being done in various countries. Recurrent themes in the presentations included the richness of the biodiversity of the ocean environment around Africa, the unsustainable exploitation of marine resources, actions in favor of restoration, and the promotion of sustainable management of marine resources. Also, very importantly, the perspectives, which are the opportunities for a new kind of economy, the blue economy that can tap into the vastness of the ocean resources. Firstly, biodiversity. Participants had the chance to see some fish from the local fish market in Kribi to have an idea of the variety available.
And depending on how recent it's been, you'll have some of the cord, the umbilical cord, that's still coming out sometimes, and then it starts to close. So this is probably already a couple of weeks old. It's already starting to close, but it will close completely, and then you'll see a little bit of a line until it completely disappears. But this is basically how you would know that it's in neonate.
Dr. Rima Jabadu came all the way from Canada. Her specialty is the elasmo branches, sharks and rays, in other words. It is unfortunate that some of these creatures might disappear even before we know of their existence.
Probably half of the diversity of sharks and rays in the world occurs in Africa, and that I'm talking about all of Africa. So West Coast, East Coast, North and South. So it is it's the only continent that is exposed to so many of the different oceans, and so your diversity here is huge, and yet it's probably the most understudied continent on not just West Africa again, whether it's even the coast of the Mediterranean. Very little work has been done on these species, and it's so important for us to understand what you have. I think we looked at pictures yesterday and there are species I can't identify that we think are probably new to science.
According to Dr. Jabadu, sharks and rays are amongst the most threatened species, especially because of unregulated, unsustainable industrial fishing. Difficult then to talk about biodiversity without talking about the threat it faces through unsustainable exploitation and pollution of the marine environment. After the first set of presentations, there was a question and answer session.
Il y a des périodes où vous pouvez un enfant avec une cuvette de bébés requins en train de vendre. On se pose même la question, bon, en faisant la zone à usage communautaire, ces espaces-là, comment on va les découper?
Et l'une des faiblesses qui a aussi été identifiée, c'est la structuration. C'est plus facile de travailler avec un groupe, une association, une coopérative, que de travailler avec des individus.
That was followed by a musical break. Another major theme was unsustainable exploitation. Dia Aissata of Senegal was here to present our organization called Blue Ventures. Their motto is Thriving Fisheries, Thriving Oceans. The organization is present in 14 countries, and their focus is to promote the sustainable management of fishing in fishing communities. They also lead a coalition called Transform Bottom Trawling. Members of the coalition include several organizations and countries. Bottom trawling is a very destructive and unsustainable kind of fishing.
Chalutage de fond, comme vous l'avez demandé, c'est un engin de pêche en fait qui est très destructif en fait, non seulement pour les espèces mais aussi pour l'habitat de l'espèce, donc c'est-à-dire sur tout l'écosystème marin. Parce que dès qu'un chalut passe en fait quelque part, nous voyons que tout, elle racle tout à son passage, donc ce qui fait que c'est complètement néfaste en fait pour nos coraux, pour les herbiers marins, mais aussi pour d'autres habitats de certaines espèces. Sans oublier aussi bien sûr des captures accidentelles qu'elle cause au passage.
The theme of bottom trawling was continued by Dr. Nyamsi of Cameroon. His main concern was how to make biological rest contribute to the sustainability of fisheries with regards to the protection of the marine environment in Cameroon. Biological rest is practiced in some inland bodies of water, such as Lakes Bamenjing, Artificial Lake in the northwest region of Cameroon, and Lake Maga in the north of the country. It is a well-defined period where no fishing is allowed in order to enable fish populations to recover and grow. Several papers sounded a warning that the ocean is under threat and needs to be protected. The threats faced by the ocean include climate change, pollution, especially plastic pollution, which is increasing every single year, and especially illegal fishing activities. In the case of Cameroon, the country received a red card from the European Union in 2022. Thanks to the red card, Cameroon is banned from exporting their fishing products to the European Union. What led to the ban was that fishing boats carrying the Cameroonian flag were committing IUU fishing. IUU stands for illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing. Cameroonians were largely ignorant of this sanction on their country when it happened. Although it was a top story in the international media, very few Cameroonian media outlets even spoke about it. That's why the third edition of Street Wheel had a special program for journalists.
During the street well, there has been a training of journalists on IUU fishing, and this training came to fill the gap whereby we realized many journalists are not really aware of the issue of IUU fishing. It was very important to train them about the topic and even train them how to get information on IUU fishing. I remember when the decision of the IUU of the European Union were out, giving the red card to Cameroon, very few local media have talked about it. Whereas it's a very burning issue, but no journalists locally really talk about it. So it was very important to enlighten the journalist community of Cameroon so that they can understand, the stake in fighting against IUU fishing and be able to get the information in the right place to inform the public, to inform the government about what is going on in our country regarding fishery management.
The journalists had the chance to visit and talk to local fishermen and to hear their stories about the difficulties and threats they face from those doing IUU fishing.
Ils viennent vers nous, c'est pour dire quoi, sont comme les criminels en mer. Parce qu'ils viennent nous cogner et si tu ne quittes pas, ils te cognent, on tue. Et ils ramassent le filet. Quand tu pars vers eux, ils ont les hommes en tenue dans les bateaux. Ils vous empêchent de s'approcher pour qu'ils vous remettent vos matériels. Parce qu'ils sont capables de vous remettre. Parce qu'eux, c'est les machines. Nous travaillons avec nos propres mains. Mais quand on part là-bas, ils peuvent en soulever pour qu'ils vous remettent vos filets. Donc ça nous dérange.
IUU fishing is a widespread problem which affects several countries.
Industrial fisheries and illegal, unreported and unregulated fisheries are very large in the whole region, so not just Cameroon, but across West Africa. You have a lot of industrial fisheries that are here because of agreements, international agreements, but there's also a lot of illegal trawling that's happening from many different countries. And so all of this is definitely impacting a lot of the populations across all the countries in West Africa. So it's not just limited to one country, it is widespread, partly because there is little capacity for enforcement. So there's a lot happening, it's a very big ocean, and there are not enough eyes to see what is happening and to control it.
The impact of IUU fishing is being greatly felt by fishermen.
À l'époque, comme on a commencé la pêche, il y avait beaucoup d'abondance de poissons. On pêchait de poissons, tout genre de variétés de poissons. On n'avait pas besoin de mettre beaucoup de filets dans la pirogue pour avoir de poissons. Mais ce qui dérange à l'heure actuelle, c'est question de chalutiers qui sont en mer. Les Chinois, ils ont amené certains filets qui ramassent des qualités de poissons, qui finissent même le poisson en mer. À cause de ça, pour avoir même 10 kilos de poissons, c'est tout un problème. Il faut mettre 100 km de filets pour tuer le poisson. Donc eux sont venus là vraiment pour détruire seulement le poisson.
It is therefore important for countries to join hands in tackling these problems. EJF, or Environmental Justice Foundation, present in 15 countries, was a participant at Streetwheel. They are helping the government of Cameroon to fight against IUU fishing.
We are supporting the government to control the vessels at the Cameroon economical zone because it's important to monitor what's going on around our sea. EJF is supporting MINEPIA by giving them information in order to monitor what's going on the sea. But also, we have supported government in revising the new legal framework that's going on by including transparency measures. For instance, one of the key transparency measures that we have included in this new legal framework, it is the publication of the fishing licenses, which is a key component of the transparency. Why? Because, for instance, if a fishing vessel is conducting activity in our national waters, it's important to know that is this vessel registered in Cameroon, if this vessel has a fishing licenses, and somebody even at the international level can check if a vessel flying the flag of Cameroon is actually registered in Cameroon by just going online and check that list.
The FAO is also working with the government through the Fish for ACP project to improve the regulatory environment governing fish resources management. The aims are to improve livelihoods, boost economic development while ensuring sustainable management of fishery resources. Fish for ACP is an initiative of the Organization of Caribbean and Pacific States, financed by the European Union and the German Development Organization, GIZ. The project involves 12 countries and 12 different value chains, such as streams, of which Cameroon is renowned. The project started in Cameroon in 2021 on the application of the government, which wanted to relaunch the exportation of shrimps.
Nous travaillons, c'est participer à la révision de la loi sur les pêches. Parce que toutes ces mesures doivent d'abord faire partie de la loi et pour permettre maintenant que les responsables, les autorités puissent s'assurer que les uns et les autres respectent cette loi. Et justement, notre loi est devenue assez vieille, depuis 1994. Et il y a eu beaucoup de choses qui ont changé dans cet environnement qui étaient nécessaires d'introduire dans la loi. Aussi bien cette question de pêche INN dont on parle beaucoup, il y a eu beaucoup de choses qui n'étaient pas dans la loi pour pouvoir se faire traquer sur le quotidien. C'est donc pourquoi, dans les activités de projet, toutes ces questions sont mises en œuvre à travers l'axe 1, assurer une pêche durable, qui consiste donc à voir comment introduire tous ces dispositifs dans la pêche de manière obligatoire, les faire respecter par tous qui sollicitent une licence de pêche. Il faut bien qu'ils respectent ces mesures pour qu'ils puissent exercer.
The regulatory environment is being strengthened. In the meantime, Cameroon has put some measures in place to ensure such an embarrassing situation does not repeat itself.
Au départ, le Cameroun n'avait pas mesuré l'ampleur de la chose. Le Cameroun n'avait pas mesuré l'ampleur de la chose et dès qu'on a vu que c'était vraiment très très important, le Premier ministre a pris la chose, le Premier ministère a pris la chose en main. Je vous ai dit que le Premier ministère, à la date d'aujourd'hui, a interdit toute nouvelle immatriculation. Donc depuis là, il n'y a plus de nouvelles immatriculations, mais nous sommes en train de faire le maximum d'efforts pour sortir de cette situation-là.
Blue economy. An important way of mitigating the degradation of aquatic environments, both river and marine, is by guaranteeing the livelihoods of local communities. This is part of a concept now known as the blue economy. The concept emerged in 2012 at the United Nations Conference on Sustainable Development in Rio. It is about the sustainable use of the benefits of our inland and marine aquatic environments, and using the potentials of these ecosystems to create wealth while preserving them. The African Union has endorsed the concept and developed and adopted an African blue economy strategy. Mathieu Ducoq, a geographer and marine management and governance expert, did a presentation on the blue economy.
I came to this event, to the street whale, for the first time, and I'm very happy because it gives a unique opportunity in Central Africa to launch dialogue between different categories of actors, decision makers, civil society, researchers, and conservationists, field practitioners, about the solutions and the challenges towards the possible sustainable blue economy that it deserved for Central Africa.
He believes that with 38 countries in Africa having access to ocean and therefore to a vast exclusive economic zone, the potential for the blue economy is huge, though neglected.
Reminded the participants that in Central Africa, although there are many potentialities, the countries of the region have been much more turned towards the inland, the interland and the continental resources, the wood, the minerals, and finally they have somehow turned the back to the ocean and to the blue resources and to the blue natural capital. If you look at the economical interests and the companies that are exploited the offshore hydrocarbons or the fisheries resources, it's always external capital that invest here and come for extractive activities to to develop commerce and international valorization of these natural resources elsewhere, in other parts of the world. And they don't reinvest the money that they earn in the region. So it's very timely for the countries of Central Africa to change their posture and try to adopt a new paradigm, a new vision of what could be the blue economy for the region.
Interest is being awakened in the African countries, and baby steps are being taken in a number of initiatives around the continent. Initiatives like shellfish gathering and sea gardening of shellfish. One such initiative presented during Streetwheel was from Tanzania, where Jerry Mangena spoke about coral reef restoration through coral gardening.
We have 5 objectives, one centered on aquaculture, and here we are promoting economic friendly but also economic competitive but also sustainable aquaculture, supporting conservation.
Time to play again. Participants had the opportunity to do some sightseeing. They visited the Lobe Falls, which are unique on Earth because they fall directly into the sea. They were also treated to the local cuisine and a boat race. All activities which, if developed here, would very well fall in line with the blue economy. Time to work again. On the 4th day of Streetwheel, participants are partitioned into working groups in order to brainstorm and come up with ideas for protecting the ocean.
Most important to be able to get to your goal and eventually
from what I've seen, at least it's the case in many locations, and this is like.
On the last day of Streetwheel, a very visible monument is built in the heart of the coastal town of Kribi, using the plastic bottles to raise awareness about the negative impact that plastic waste has on the ocean.
We already seen the first impact, although it takes a longer time to see major impact. When we talk about marine conservation, it's not like, constructing a road. It's really a change of perception, change of mentality. And mentality are strong and they usually take time to change. But we are glad that we're seeing more and more in media how people are talking about marine wildlife conservation, people are talking about Streetwheel, and we're seeing more participation from the government.
A concrete result of Streetwheel is the creation of the Cameroon Network of Marine and Coastal Management. They are currently working on impact policy change by developing strategies and management plans for the protection of the ocean and marine wildlife. When ready, the proposal will be presented to the government for validation.